I wrote this July 5th, 2019. This is my America. Having just been to the Independence Day celebration at the Capitol Mall in D.C. and been to church nearly every day this week, attending Jubilee services at Capital Baptist Church in Dover, Delaware, plus visiting my son's church, Fairwinds Baptist Church in Bear, Delaware, who had an arousing, patriotic Sunday morning service with an inspiring choir presentation, and plus spent all of my spare time that was not spent with family reading patriotic books about our founding fathers and writing scripts for our upcoming patriotic VBS for characters such as George Washington, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, Patrick Henry, and Betsy Ross. I am thoroughly in a patriotic mood. It was John Adams who proposed the idea of a festival to celebrate the anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. He desired that it be celebrated from one end of the country to the other forevermore. He declared that there should be a religious service giving thanksgiving to the providential Almighty God who made this possible. My heart is overflowing with joy, knowing where I have come from. And understanding the sacrifices paid to give us so great a country. The heroic men and women of the past have so much to teach us, and we are in great need of learning. For if we do not learn from our history, we will be doomed to repeat the mistakes of it, and will not rise up out of it. Yesterday, I watched children play beneath the National Monument, girls doing cartwheels, boys wrestling. 2 teen girls wrapped themselves in the American flags as the other took photos of the one posing. I'm sure those photos will show up on Instagram or Facebook. There were 2 other young ladies with red, white, and blue tutus taking turns posing in front of and with the National Monument. There was a man wearing a flag onesie. Yes, an actual onesie. I missed that photo. There were so many people displaying their patriotism on their persons, in the colors of their clothes, t-shirt logos, hats, and logos and symbolisms, and other special headgear and American flag-themed clothes. I never saw so much red, white, and blue in one place. But the 2 girls wrapped in the American flag embody what our spirit should be. Love our country. Love our flag, appreciate our president, and support our military. Several people stopped to take photos of themselves or each other holding up the iconic National Monument, either leaning on it, holding it up, or touching the very top of it. There was no shame in all of this display in front of hundreds of thousands of people. What I saw was patriotism from all, each making a moment to commemorate the day, the mile marker of America's independence. I saw Asians, Mexicans, Indians, and Muslims. There were black and white people, and of every color in between, and of every age from infants and toddlers to the aged. Everyone was friendly, kind, and polite to one another. Strangers spoke to each other. There was no fighting, no ugliness, no hatred displayed anywhere that I could see. I saw a united America, one who cheered the president when he spoke, and were awed by the military flyovers roaring just above our heads. It rained quite a bit that day, but that did not dampen the American spirit. Many had their umbrellas or ponchos to brave the weather, because this was a moment not to be missed. The others just got wet, but were not in the least bit stopped from being a part of such a momentous time in history. Nothing can stop the spirit of America when we are united. All across the green lawn of the Capitol Mall were small groups of families or friends gathered on a blanket or tarp or under a group of umbrellas. Many brought their picnic lunches or take-out food. When the nation's anthem was sung, everyone stood in respect and honor. Some rode in on their bikes or scooters. Some brought frisbees or a soccer ball to play with while waiting for the show to begin, which would include an orchestra, a Muppet presentation which included fun kiddie songs. Lindsay Sterling, a YouTube star, was also on stage to play her violin for us. There were a few other singers which I cannot remember their names because I do not follow that crowd. We arrived on the scene late afternoon. People continued to arrive the rest of the afternoon and into the early evening. There was a moving moment when the entire crowd lit up their phones with a flashlight on their phones to show appreciation and honor for the military. That was a cool sight to behold. Seeing how this, America loves and appreciates their military, brought tears to my eyes. I would love to see a photo of that from the air. There was one anti-Trump display from my vantage point. It was the baby Trump balloon that was staked down with ropes since helium was banned from the day. As much as I would have enjoyed seeing it deflated, nobody attacked it. Plenty of Trump supporters were there. Some even walked up to it and around it with their own pro-Trump signs that nobody took down. That person's right to express their opinion, even though misguided it was. There were no arguments, no fights, no exchange of any angry words. This D.C. crowd was truly in the spirit of Patrick Henry when he said, "I may not consent with what you say, but I will fight to my death your right to say it." The rain did stop, and the skies cleared in time for the main attraction, which would be the fireworks. As the sky darkened by the pending nightfall, the National Monument was aglow with lights. The darker the sky, the brighter the monument appeared, reminding me of the principle that light shines the brightest in the darkness, and how we should be that light, showing forth truth. After the musical show finished, and without any pause, the fireworks began with a burst of 5 blossoms just above the trees, and it continued for about 15 minutes without stopping. Perfectly synchronized blossoms, 5 in a row, came round after another without pause. Never have I ever seen so many fireworks going off simultaneously in one place at a time.
a lot of the light. Because the smoke's coming this way. Yeah. We're gonna die, you know that, right? We're gonna suffocate.
No sooner did this location cease from firing when another burst of fireworks began in a different location and continued for another 15 minutes. There were so many fireworks that the cloud of smoke became so thick as to hide the actual burst from where we sat. So all we could see at that point were clouds of smoke changing colors. As the cloud of smoke moved over our heads, the top of the monument was hidden by the clouds as though its uppermost point were touching heaven. At the very top of the north side of the monument are the Latin words, Laus Deo, meaning praise be to God, another reminder of our Christian heritage. As we exited the park, we watched the smoke descend downward, so that the Washington Monument was nearly obscured by all the thick smoke. I could not help but think of how far we as a country have fallen. Darkness has come over this country where sin abounds. Our elected leaders have become infected with it, and corruption is rampant in nearly every branch of our government. We as a nation have strayed far from our roots. We have lost our way because we have forsaken God, the very one who guided our founding fathers into creating such a unique country, unlike any other, truly founded upon biblical principles. We need to get back to those roots that made our country great if we are ever able to make America great again. I have so thoroughly enjoyed this past week, spent mostly in reflection of our heritage, and I am full of hope as I clearly see the hand of God in our modern day's events, just as our founders recognized in their day. I am of the opinion that God has sent us Donald J. Trump to deliver our country from evil and the bondage of slavery that our encroaching government has pulled over us. Trump is our Moses, who is willing to stand in the gap, to represent we the people, to fight for us, putting America first. He will go down in history as a great American, he wrote, and one of the finest presidents. It is our job to support him and pray for him, that he has the guidance and wisdom of God to lead us in this fight to restore our republic. Just as Aaron and Hur in Exodus chapter 17 held up the hands of Moses, the Israelites prevailed in the war because when Moses' hands were held high, the battle victory were on them. But when the hands became heavy and Moses could not hold them up, they were losing the battle. So Aaron and Hur stepped in to hold up Moses' hands so that they could win the battle against Amalek. I wrote this while we were traveling back home from our long trip, July 5th, 2019. I still feel the same sentiment today in 2023.